Hello guys and welcome to ThousandSunnyReview for the second part of my theory of everything. And without further introduction, if you haven't seen the first part, I suggest you do so before watching this one because I will skip some information. So, Luffy is Joy Boy's reincarnation or something like that, whatever you could name. The fact is that Luffy is the promised second king, referred by the Sea Kings and Uranus. But the mystery remains. In Reverie Arc we saw Imu, a strange figure who is the king of the world behind the scenes, cutting the images of Shirahoshi, Luffy and Blackbeard, while holding the picture of Vivi. Vivi, as a Nefertari, comes from one of the 20 founding kingdoms, yet the only one who didn't follow the rest, later known as Celestial Dragons. And we have seen the Gorosei refer to the Nefertari family as traitors. And this is why I believe that the death Morgans was talking about is the death of Nefertari Cobra. If the world government had managed to kill any of the revolutionary commanders, it would be huge news and a huge win for them. They wouldn't want to cover the incident. Instead, they would want to promote it, since the Revolutionary Army is their direct opponent. Back to the topic, Shirahoshi is the Poseidon. I believe that Luffy is Uranus. But what of Blackbeard? He could not possibly be Pluton. It is said many times that Pluton is a ship, and we have seen the blueprints as well. As I have already said in my other videos, Pluton is the Roman name of Greek mythological god Hades, the ruler of the underworld. The coincidence here is that it is complicated because different authors suggest different things for this, but in the mythology there is also Erebos. According to Hesiod, Erebos was the darkest place of Hades' kingdom, where Hades himself resided along with his wife. So actually Erebos represents the darkness and the night, and it is where Hades, aka Pluton, resides. So the three ancient weapons being after the Greek mythology, with Imu wanting to erase Blackbeard among others, who has under his possession the darkness fruit. And I remind you that Blackbeard's ability allows him to pull in anything and then pull it out. In his battle with S, Blackbeard actually pulled in an entire village and then threw it out of the darkness. From what we know so far, Pluton was really built centuries ago, and the blueprints were kept in order to build another one in case the first one was resurrected. So the blueprints of Pluton are like the defending strategy for Pluton itself, and that is the role of the Water Sevens, Carpenters and Frankie. But the shipwrights as well as the world government fear that Robin had the ability to resurrect Pluton. However, Robin's only ability is the deciphering of the ancient texts, which means that she can find Pluton. And as we know from Arabasta's poneglyph, she already knows Pluton's location. However, Robin is not interested in the ancient weapons. So we have the person able to build Pluton, the person able to find Pluton, but resurrecting Pluton is a different story. I believe that the resurrection plan is on Blackbeard, because I believe that Pluton is either hidden or invisible, and that is why it is not found yet. What I mean? Let's start with the second one, invisibility. As mentioned, Pluton is inspired of the mythological god Hades, aka Pluton. God Hades had a helmet granted to him which allowed him to become invisible. And as for the first hypothesis, there is that strange landscape of Wano. But I believe that both hypotheses connect into the one answer. As shown in the picture, Onigashima is actually part of Wano. It is another island, but it is still very close, so it belongs to Wano's turf. While on this image we can see that Onigashima has a giant skull on its center, and there is also a giant sword next to it. Now, Onigashima is inspired of the real-life Japanese island Mejijima. If I pronounce it right, I don't know. Anyway, which also exists in Momotaro folklore, where it is mentioned as the island of Ogress. Both in Momotaro and real life, this island has some caves on its mountains, where the Ogress was living, according to the folklore, and the same caves exist also in One Piece's Onigashima. However, this doesn't explain the giant sword we see in Onigashima. And there is also the landscape of Wano, which is like an island between two giants as shown in the image, and with a volcano in its center. Now, it may sound strange, but there is a perfect connection between Wano, Onigashima, the Kozuki clan, and Pluton. The Wano citizens are known in all history as craftsmen, smiths, and metallurgs. Now, a short while ago I told you about the Hades helmet, but who built it and gave it to him? The answer is the Cyclops. The Cyclops were allies of the Olympians in the war, and they built the weapons inside the volcano of Etna. Etna is a volcano in Sicily, Italy. We don't care where it is, but we care that it is a volcano. What is interesting is that Cyclops were imprisoned, then free, then imprisoned again, and then free again, depending on who was ruling. These wars may be irrelevant to the story, but what is relevant is that Wano was once open, but then isolated until it opens again. So the Wano country with the craftsman citizens share such a strange coincidental history with the craftsman Cyclops. And here I answer my previous video questions: what is that ability of Momonosuke? And I say Onigashima was once alive. Wano is built around giants that once were alive. Following the pattern I mentioned before, Cyclops were in charge of keeping the Titans in Tartara. Think of it as a sort of hell prison. And where were Tartara? In the kingdom of the underworld, where Pluton was. And so, to go even further, I believe that Pluton is hidden underneath Wano country, and the Kozuki family was charged to protect and keep hidden both Pluton and the ancient creatures, like Zunisha and Onigashima, and that is why Momonosuke was able to command Zunisha, which Zunisha said itself that she had committed a crime in ancient history, which crime was none other than betraying the ancient kingdom and the Kozukis. Blackbird has the power to pull in everything. I believe that this power also affects resurrection. Blackbird has the ability to resurrect, and the Kozukis have the power to hear the voice of all things. However, this power does not affect the hearing alone. As we have already seen, Momonosuke was able to see through Zunisha's eyes. Momonosuke is connected to Zunisha, and the hint is that the only known characters to have such ability are characters connected to ancient One Piece clans. Oden and Momonosuke as Kozuki heirs, Roger and Luffy as D-clan members, and it is a power obviously irrelevant of the character's power or haki. Rayleigh is shown to not be able to hear anything, as does Zoro, characters that are strong, and we already know that Rayleigh has Conqueror's haki too, so the character's power is irrelevant of the voice of all things. However, we know of a very rare and strange clan that can also do that. The Three-Eye Tribe, that we know they can achieve a true awakening and hear the voice of all things. However, no pure Three-Eye clan member has ever been shown, which is strange, but it is also safe to assume that with their awakening they were hunted at some point of history. I cannot explain what this power, the voice of all things, is, but I am sure it is a power deeply connected to the clans of the ancient kingdom and its allies like the Kozuki clan, and it is more than just hear some things. As I already said, Momonosuke saw through Zunisha's eyes, and I want to mention another difference between Momonosuke's ability and Shirahoshi's Poseidon abilities. Shirahoshi when Luffy was destroying Noah, actually communicated with the Sea Kings, and the Sea Kings back in Oden's flashback said that they were waiting for their two kings. However, Zunisha, on the other hand, asked for Momonosuke's command, and Momonosuke wasn't able to communicate with Zunisha, he was only able to command Zunisha. I believe that this is a very thin yet important line that separates these two abilities. And so, to conclude this, I believe that Nefertari Cobra died at the reverie. Blackbeard with his devil fruit is the key to resurrect the original Pluton. Onigashima and the Wano landscape figures were alive, and they were charged to protect Wano under the Kozuki family commands, which commands Zunisha didn't follow, and Pluton is hidden underneath Wano country. To be continued in part 3, The Last War, participants, allies, sides, and more. Let me know your thoughts guys on the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content.